Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So because so many artists are on tour right now, it just seems like almost every other day or even every day, we're seeing a new viral video of someone getting kicked out of the concert because they just couldn't keep their act together. Honestly, the real catalyst for this video was the whole situation where some idiot threw a phone at BeBe Rexha, and then I want to say like less than 48 hours after that, around that, Ava Max got hit in the eye by a fan. So just people don't have any sense. And I mean, while that's nothing new, there have been a lot of instances of people acting up in concerts, which I want to get into today, as well as concert etiquette in general, and kind of talk about some of, even though there's no excuse, some of the reasons in psychology as to why people do sometimes behave this way. And also, if I mention a show and you were there, please make sure, well, not make sure, you don't have to, but if you want to, please share your experience down below with us in the comments. But before we get into concerts, or let's even relate it to concerts. When you get home from a concert, you are not trying to cook a 5-course meal. You're trying to do something quick and you're trying to do something easy. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Green Chef. So we know by now it is absolutely no secret by any means that I am no chef and I really don't like to cook, but whenever I do go for cooking, I want something that is painless and seamless, but I don't want to sacrifice taste at all. Otherwise, what am I making the food for? And I have talked to you guys in the past about how HelloFresh has made cooking so much simpler and easier for me, and now HelloFresh owns Green Chef and they have even more plans to choose from. And I really love switching between HelloFresh and Green Chef, and now you can do both with me and enjoy both brands at a discount. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, but every summer I convince myself that I'm gonna eat healthy and eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and go to the farmer's market and all of that stuff that absolutely never actually happens, until this year. Green Chef helps me eat clean and live a healthy lifestyle by delivering easy to prepare dinners right to my doorstep. They have tons of delicious, nutritious recipes with clean ingredients like organic fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic company and has options for every lifestyle, whether that's keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, gluten-free, or Mediterranean. They also limit processed ingredients and don't use any artificial colors or sweeteners so that you can feel great about the food that you eat. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Mediterranean food year-round, honestly, but especially so in the summertime because it's full of just fresh vegetables and it's very light and doesn't weigh you down. Usually the Mediterranean food that I eat is takeout, of course, but with Green Chef, I've got to try my hand at making it. I chose from their Mediterranean plan and got to make restaurant quality dishes like the cauliflower and couscous bowls and lemon and basil caper pork. But my favorite was this chickpea and red pepper bulgur bowl. Green Chef makes it so easy to eat clean, quality food that you can feel great about. They send you nutritionist-approved recipes that are great for you and packed with flavor, so you don't have to worry about planning trips to the grocery store or just meal planning in general. Aside from that, the recipes are almost too easy to prepare. They come with very simple and step-by-step instructions, and they also come with pictures which are perfect if you are like me and you're a visual learner and an image always helps. And when they say the recipes only take 30 or 35 minutes, however many minutes the instructions indicate, they really do mean it because, the last thing I want to do after I've been out all day is cook. But with Green Chef, if it says 30 minutes, I can knock it out in 30 minutes, and I absolutely love that. So if you are ready to cut down on those trips to the grocery store as well as the guesswork when it comes to deciding what to eat, Green Chef definitely has you covered. You can use my code Naomi60 for 60% off plus free shipping, and you can head on over to greenchef.com for more details. Again, that is Naomi60 for 60% off plus free shipping at greenchef.com. And so I want to extend a very big thank you to Green Chef for sponsoring today's video, and now let's go ahead and get back into concerts. So for around 2 or so years now, we've finally been able to go to concerts and festivals again. And as with other public spaces, there's been this talk that people have forgotten how to act at concerts, or the world opened back up and people forgot about concert etiquette. And I want to preface and say this entire video isn't just directed only at younger Gen Z, because a lot of people who are older are guilty of this also. Recently, several stories and videos have circulated about people acting up at concerts, and I want to cover those, and then I will get into my analysis and all of the other stuff that you guys like to listen to me for. In April of this year, several fans were kicked out of an Agust D concert at Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. It seems like even before people got into the venue, things were already hectic. Fans with general admission tickets started lining up outside the venue, as is pretty normal for a concert, but multiple lines ended up forming. I'm not sure if this was the case, but this happens a lot when there's more than one entrance to the venue. A fan who was in one of the lines tweeted and said that people in the back of the line were trying to push to the front towards where people had been lined up to try and get barricade. Instead of letting fans enter in the lines that they formed, staff started giving concert goers random numbered wristbands for entry. This meant those waiting in the front of the line could be let in the venue after those at the back. And on top of all of this, it was raining. Once inside, general admission was just as chaotic. Fans were pushing others to try to get to the barricade. Security did handle this and had those pushing escorted out. According to some of the people actually at the Agust D concert, most of the fans who were pushing and got kicked out were sasaengs or K-pop superfans. This term typically implies an unhealthy parasocial relationship with idols that goes far beyond just being a fan and typically crosses over into stalking or otherwise violating idols' boundaries. Others kicked out were said to be Fansites, who are people who take HD pictures of idols and follow them around to be able to do so. Usually, these Fansites are dedicated to taking pictures of one specific idol or group. Not all Fansites behave disrespectfully or violently or take photos without idols' consent, but many do, and especially at concerts. According to an interview with an anonymous fansite published in Koreaboo, a lot of these fansites purposely break concert rules in order to get photos of idols and then keep them. While these fansites are allowed at many other idol events, they're not allowed at concerts, and many idols and fans don't want them there. The anonymous fansite said, "The only place where it is harder to take photos is at individual artist concerts. Also, when I've been overseas, it's a bit harder to take photos, but fansites watch out for each other when we go with other fansites. If they catch you, they usually tell you to clear the SD card, but there's a lot of programs you can use to recover those images." Companies such as Hive have spoken out against these fansites, not only because they create a disruptive environment at shows, but because their photos violate portraiture rights and copyrights. Fansites have claimed they were doxxed or assaulted by ARMY or BTS fans during BTS's permission to dance on stage shows, more specifically at the LA show. A lot of these bigger fansites, called homos, that being short for homepage master, are known within the fandoms. This can make them targets at concerts, as some fans will try to stop them from taking pictures to protect their idols. One of the homos who was attacked said on Twitter, "Let me say one thing. With what kind of heart are you hunting homos? It's so obvious you're having fun, and that's what's hurt me the most. Laughing at me and pretending to spit at me, I also saw how you looked so happy as if you caught prey. There's even a person who pulled my hair, pushed me, and hit me. I endured it because I had to take photos of Taehyung. But is it that fun to torture a person?" Despite negative opinions of fansites, more specifically at concerts, some K-pop fans do defend them. For one, it gives fans access to photos and fan cams of idols they may not have otherwise seen, especially for smaller groups. And on the other hand, those who make edits for fun or even for money use a lot of these fansites as high-quality content. So yes, fansites aren't all terrible, but their presence at concerts, which isn't allowed, has negatively impacted a lot of fans' concert experiences. And then, of course, part of it is the sasaengs and just otherwise disrespectful fans as well. A couple weeks ago at a Paramore concert, Hayley Williams stopped mid-song and personally saw to it that some rowdy guests were kicked out. This happened at the end of May on night one of their Madison Square Garden show. During the show, two fans were shoving through the crowd to get closer to the front. Those around them pushed back and tried to prevent them from taking their space, causing a commotion the band eventually noticed.
"Holy shit! Fuck you! Get out!" Also, do I see, what is happening? Hi, yes, I will embarrass both of you. Both of you need to find somewhere else to take care of that shit, because that's not happening here tonight. This is our house.
After the two were kicked out, Paramore waited for an okay from the audience before starting up again. About a week after the incident, Hayley did apologize to the fans on Discord, saying she cried after seeing the viral videos of them getting kicked out. Part of her apology reads, "I embarrassed the hell out of these two people without truly knowing what the situation was. Then as a group, all 25,000 of us or so exiled these people from the show in record time. When I saw their faces in the video, I didn't see the smug smiles that some commenters criticized them for. I saw embarrassment and I cried for them. I'm telling you, I haven't stopped thinking about it. So if you are those two people, I'm sorry for whatever shame or embarrassment I may have caused you. I'm not telling you that it's perfectly fine to act entitled or ignorant at a show. I'm just saying that I'm sorry that I handled the whole situation like the arbiter of the same type of cancel culture that doesn't often teach or lead in any productive way." Hayley also apologized for what she felt like was abusing her platform. "I'm not quite sure if the two people kicked out were identified or have spoken out, but I haven't seen anything from them, nor did any of the articles mention any names." A Beyonce fan got ejected from one of the London shows on the Renaissance tour, and the whole thing just honestly plays out like a soap opera. All of this was happening right at the beginning of the show when Beyonce was covering River Deep Mountain High. The original video was deleted, but some people managed to screen record and then, stitch in their reactions to it. And based on what people have said online, it seems like a fight or some sort of altercation broke out, and the person who got kicked out was, they were the aggressor. He left his friend behind, who was clearly very distressed to see him go, but he stayed put, which is exactly what I would do, because those concert tickets cost too much to be acting up, which is why I don't get that people act a fool at concerts anyways, even if they are under the influence. Back in May, on the opening night of the tour in Sweden, another fan was arrested for sneaking into the Club Renaissance section. I believe this is sort of the VIP section for the tour, and that of course has better seats and other things like a bar up front, I think. So now, instead of seeing the ticket from the seat that Miss Girl paid for, she flew too close to the sun and didn't get to see Beyonce at all. A couple weeks ago, BeBe Rexha was assaulted by a fan at her concert in Manhattan. Towards the end of her show, a man named Nicholas Malvania threw his phone at BeBe. Fans throwing things on stage is a pretty common occurrence for whatever reason, to the point where artists have walked off stage because of it, and honestly, rightfully so. But I don't get the point of people throwing their phones or other important personal belongings on stage. Because other than it being disrespectful and dangerous, it would be too much of a hassle to try and get it back. I'm assuming most who do it think the artist will take a selfie and then get the phone back to them somehow, but I honestly don't know. But back to BeBe. When she got hit, BeBe immediately turned around, then fell to her knees before being helped off stage and taken to the hospital. The phone hit her directly in the head right above her eyebrow, leaving her with a bruise and a wound that required 3 stitches. Luckily, Nicholas was quickly identified and escorted out. He allegedly said he threw the phone because he was trying to see if he could hit BeBe with the phone at the end of the show because he thought it would be funny. He said to have told police this as well. Honestly, I don't think he thought anyone was going to laugh or giggle. That's just what people say when they do inexplicably stupid things for attention. Nicholas was arrested and charged with assault, aggravated harassment, attempted assault, and harassment. The day after the incident, he was arraigned and released, and his next court date is scheduled for July. Either the day of or the day before this happened, BeBe actually posted about how excited she was for this tour and how much she was enjoying it. It is fortunate that the injury wasn't more serious, but of course it's unfortunate that it happened at all and that some people are just that reckless and stupid. Then, just days after BeBe got hit with the phone, a fan made it all the way on stage at Ava Max's LA show. I can't tell if he was trying to reach for her or what, but that's what it looks like. But when security grabbed him and his hand went out, Ava got hit in the face. She later said on Twitter, "He slapped me so hard that he scratched the inside of my eye. He's never coming to a show again. Thank you for the fans for being spectacular tonight in LA though." Those at the concert said the crazed fan ran on stage as Ava was ending the last song of the show. One fan named Corey Larrabee said the security tackled the crazed fan and threw him down the stairs.
Clap if you care. All right, let's move on.
Ava was seen wearing sunglasses after the show, and Corey said she could barely open her eye, but hopefully she still heals up well and heals quickly. This instance isn't something that got the fans kicked out, but was definitely something that I and others found inappropriate at worst and strange at the least. Back in May, on the Nashville stop of the Eras tour, some fans decided to hold up pictures of Taylor's grandmother Marjorie, who passed in 2003. This was while Taylor was performing Marjorie, a song made in tribute to her grandmother. Taylor saw these photos and, according to Billboard, said, "What are you trying to do to me?" And in the clip I saw, it also looks like she said, "Oh my God." And it doesn't seem like either of those statements were made with an upset tone, just to clarify. And then at the end of the song, she said that was so meaningful and special. This was called #Project Marjorie on social media and was met with criticism. One fan tweeted, "Those who participated in #Project Marjorie were a different type of weird. You could have held up photos of your loved ones who passed on as your Marjorie." Someone else said, "Given that Marjorie is now a deceased family member of Taylor Swift, this is actually one of the most abhorrent things I've ever seen a fan do. I don't even care if she appreciated it. How does this go through your mind?" I truly doubt the fans did this with bad intentions, but like others have pointed out, it's still an invasive thing to do. You don't know how someone's going to react to something like that, nor do these people know Taylor or her grandma personally, which a lot of her fans forget, I think. I admit it doesn't appear that Taylor was upset by this at all, but it makes it weird that she just as easily could have been, and fans were willing to put her in that situation if so. And had she been hurt, there wouldn't have been much of a way to react without disrupting her concert. Fans who were critical of Project Marjorie said they hoped it didn't result in fans continuing to show up to the Eras tour with pictures of Taylor's grandmother or anything else related to Marjorie. Some also expressed fear that this would turn into a one-upping situation where other fans attempted to get an emotional reaction out of Taylor to have a viral moment. And then others hoped that Taylor wouldn't remove Marjorie from the set list altogether to deter fans from bringing photos to the concert. I don't think this turned into a bigger issue at other shows because I haven't heard any other reports or talk about it, but Swifties, do let us know down in the comments. I don't think anyone is saying that people misbehaving and losing their minds at concerts is new. Most of us are also aware that because of social media, we see a lot more of this behavior than we would have in the past. But still, a lot are left wondering if these incidents are still occurring more than they used to, because two things can be true at once. While I'm sure there's no running count of people who misbehave at concerts, I would make the assumption that this is becoming more common. Part of the reason I say this is because of just how much social media has increased people's parasocial interactions with artists, which do turn into parasocial relationships. Artists have always been able to interact with fans, but because of the internet, they can interact with more fans in real time and outside of performances or other events. Seeing and interacting with these figures in their downtime only further inclines people to believe they know the artist beyond the stage. Sometimes these fans are in parasocial relationships for years, so when the concert does come around, they don't think they're just going to see an artist, but finally getting to meet a friend that's been a pen pal to them for years. Even when fans in parasocial relationships don't think of the artist as a friend, they still feel like they know them deeper than they actually do or have some sort of special connection to them. And because of this, they're more likely to cross boundaries or think that the typical boundaries they would put between themselves and a stranger no longer apply. The increased parasocialism many engaged in during the pandemic didn't suddenly stop once the world opened back up. In a 2021 study on parasocial bonds, author Bradley J. Bond notes that there's often little difference in how we interact online with celebrities and friends, especially if we don't see them in person. He said, "Moreover, if we rely solely on media technologies to stay in touch with real-life friends, the way we process our real-life friends may begin to mimic how we process our parasocial relationships, as both occur over screens. The data suggests the more time we spend communicating with our real-life friends via screens, the stronger we begin to perceive our parasocial relationships with media figures." He does note that more specific experimental research is required to note the specific cognitive changes that occur in these instances. After things started opening up again, there's been almost constant discourse about how people are lacking in concert etiquette. In a lot of these posts and articles, I've seen mentions of how fans no longer respect personal space and will push to the barricade or anywhere else, everyone else around them be damned. And on the other hand, I've seen people say that other concert goers have become too aggressive and want to start conflicts over things such as people accidentally bumping into them or stepping on their shoes, which is normal at concerts. Other common complaints are of people blocking the view because they're constantly recording, or being a disruption because of constant screaming or dancing uncontained to their personal space. And to be honest, there is some psychology behind this. People often find it harder to self-regulate in crowds, be it at concerts, a sporting event, or even at church, because they're feeding off the energy of others. Typically, they find joy in the shared experience, which can heighten the emotions compared to the emotions the person would feel if they were just alone. The name of this phenomenon is collective effervescence, coined in 1915 by French sociologist Emile Durkheim. It's the feeling of when you're just looking around at a concert and you sort of have this out-of-body moment and you just think, wow, all of these people are having fun and experiencing the same moment just like I am. According to SUNY Buffalo psychologist Shira Gabriel, this phenomenon helps fulfill our desire to belong. Gabriel says collective effervescence is closely linked to parasocial relationships, as both are rooted in a desire to belong. Often, parasocial relationships are formed in search of belonging and in search of these effervescent experiences. The desire to feel part of a certain group or part of a certain experience is part of why many people still go to concerts, even though lines are long, tickets and drinks are expensive, and a lot of venues are just crowded and sweaty. In addition, while experiencing collective effervescence, many become overwhelmed with emotion, mostly positive emotion, but their inhibitions are lower. Outside of collective effervescence, other psychologists studying concert behavior have pointed out to some degree it's often competitive. Some fans feel the need to be the best fan by being the loudest or showing they love and support the artist more than others in the crowd. In an article for Psychology Today, Dr. Harold Gazoulis noted that this has been a studied phenomenon dating back to the Beatles, who actually had to stop live performances because they couldn't hear themselves over their screaming fans. This was before in-ear monitors were widely used, as they were only invented in 1965. Dr. Gazoulis noted that humans are unique and that often our screams aren't out of distress but out of overwhelming excitement. These screams are often contagious, meaning that others are more likely to scream if they hear someone else doing it. Dr. Gonzalez wrote about the experience of one of his students at Emory University who attended a Justin Bieber concert along with her younger sister. The student wasn't a Bieber fan, but found herself screaming right along with the other fans and was perplexed by her own behavior. Dr. Gonzalez notes that regardless of the reason for the scream, it still is normally competitive in nature. He hypothesized the reasons for screaming at concerts, stating, "First and foremost, screams attract attention. This is true across the various species that scream. That attention might be from an ally, such as a close relative, when a monkey or ape screams in a fight, or in other species, the scream might draw attention and attract others when the caller is a rabbit or other prey in the jaws of a predator whose efforts might be interrupted by another's approach. Perhaps it is the ability of screams to draw attention to the vocalizer that prompts their usage in what might be the case of concert screaming by female fans, a competitive effort to get noticed by their idols. This needs not be, and is likely not conscious or even voluntary, as my student at the Justin Bieber concert experienced." Rachel Simmons, another contributor to the article, proposed that screaming isn't done to compete with other fans, but to show loyalty and solidarity and support of that artist, and is instead a group bonding experience. Going back to the question as to whether people are acting up at concerts more than they used to, I have seen some relate this to the sense of entitlement and lack of accountability that seems to be growing, at least in the States. This entitlement and lack of accountability typically extends to how people behave in public. Aside from that, there seems to be a growing sense of individualism that manifests itself in a pursuit of happiness that disregards the feelings of others if need be. The United States has always been an individualist society, characteristics of that individualism being that individual rights take center stage, or the rights of the individuals tend to take a higher precedence. Social norms for spaces aren't written into law, therefore actions that break them often aren't seen as a problem, especially by the perpetrator. That's why often people will have this mentality of, I paid for my concert ticket so I can act however I want and you'll just have to be mad about it. They believe that because they paid to be somewhere, their personal experience takes precedence over everyone else's, ignoring the fact that others also paid for an experience as being impacted by their behavior. Being so individualistic can make it hard to come together to collectively make an experience decent for everyone involved. I even found a site from 2021 calling the rise in individualism a megatrend, partly attributing it to the way our lives have become more personalized, often through means of technology. I want to insert a TikTok from Tell the Bees, who is a creator that I love. He talks about this entitlement in Gen Z concert goers and the issues with it. And while I do see it a lot in Gen Z, which is no shade because I'm older Gen Z, I think this could be extended to older people, but all of his points stand.
She was at the Taylor tour a couple of nights ago and was shrieking at the top of her lungs, and people around her were asking her to be quiet, and she was like, no, because I spent my money, so I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And this sense of entitlement is something I've also seen in those videos with like sassy college professor responses when the professor is like, did you even read the syllabus? And people in the comments freak out. Like Gen Z, or some people in Gen Z will say, I'm paying my money, so how dare you speak to me like this? Or conversely, here, I'm paying my money, so I'm allowed to act however I want. And it's so interesting, this like intense level of entitlement, because I feel like we millennials didn't act like this at concerts. Like, this is something that is so shocking to me, because it's like, you either go one of two ways, right? You say, I paid my money, so I'm allowed to behave however I want. Or you say, we are living in a society with mutually agreed upon set of social norms and mores, right? Like sociologically, you understand that there's an appropriate way to behave when you're surrounded by people who also paid $500 or whatever. But it's like your level of fun and comfort is superseding everyone else around you. And it's so intense seeing this like stark divide in the comments, right? Because people are freaking out in the comments of this girl's video. And I mean, clearly, you know where I come down on the side of it, but it's just so crazy that Gen Z is supposed to be like enlightened and like moving us forward and being so progressive. But then when it comes to, I spent $200 on these tickets, so I'm going to act a fucking fool.
In the comments, several people are saying that concert etiquette has gone out of the window, which, like I said, is a sentiment that I and you have probably seen before. Other commenters gave examples, like Mitski stopping live performances because fans didn't respect her wishes to stop recording. Not only that, she was attacked online because of it. I especially liked a comment a lot of people left, which is a quote from a Twitter thread where someone apparently said, "The aim is to have a collective experience, not have people experience you." I'm not well educated in rave or festival culture, but I have come across TikToks over the past months of seasoned rave goers saying the same things. Others have said similar things about Coachella and how fans were rushing to barricades and pushing and shoving and things of that nature. This year, a lot of the complaints stemmed from the Frank Ocean set and how some were camped out at the stage all day to the point where they were blocking fans of artists who were performing earlier in the day. Aside from that, and this is a little bit more particular to people who go to raves or just all-day music festivals and things like that, a lot of them have said that younger people at these events are just showing up unprepared, which is leading to them getting sick and injured or passing out because of it. In May, NBC News published an article about fans encouraging others to behave better at concerts. The article included an interview with avid concert goer Ginger Sherry, who has started using her social media account to share concert etiquette tips. Like many others, she said that pre-pandemic, she hadn't experienced as many problems or disruptive behavior at concerts as post-pandemic. Erin Dine, who was also interviewed by NBC, said a fan at the Eras tour was rude to her as she had to be wheeled into the venue because of respiratory issues. After Erin complimented the fan's dress, the fan replied, "Wheelchairs are for disabled people." Erin also criticized someone on TikTok for recording and posting other people sitting down at the Eras tour. She pointed out that you don't know why people are sitting, and that's still not an excuse to record someone. And that is something that I've seen a lot on TikTok, people recording others and taking videos of people at concerts because they're not showing what they deem as the appropriate level of enthusiasm. Aside from just being disruptive, it is important to remember that sometimes certain behaviors at concerts, like pushing and rushing to the front, aren't just disrespectful, but can also be deadly. We can look back to events like Astroworld or the crowd crush that happened at Itaewon this past Halloween. I'm not saying the fans are entirely at fault or that anyone deserves to die for pushing people in a crowd, but I am saying these situations can easily repeat themselves if people blatantly disregard safety simply because they want a better spot or a better video. And when all of these people are pressed together unnecessarily, it can become more difficult and even dangerous to evacuate in an emergency. This past March, there was a stampede at an event where Glorilla was performing, and it took the lives of 3 people. The stampede happened after people believed that they heard gunfire and attempted to flee to the exits. Even things that seem like simple arguments that can turn into bigger fights can cause people to stampede out of fear, especially in America where mass shootings are a real possibility. Several publications have provided readers with lists and tips of concert etiquette. I'm not sure if this is a yearly thing. I would assume not, otherwise the outlet would just be recycling the same information every year. Moreover, I think these are reminders now that some people are getting back to attending concerts and some younger fans are just starting. Some of these tips are things like having your tickets ready to go to keep the line moving, but most have to do with actual behavior during the show. BuzzFeed's list, which was published in May, is compiled of etiquette tips that concert goers submitted themselves. Some include not bringing your giant dinosaur tablet to record the show, not filming for more than 10 seconds, and not cutting lines, be at the venue or restrooms, and not pushing past others in general. So I do have 2 more concerts so far this year that I'm planning to go to. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to try for a Doja ticket because I could honestly see her canceling, so I don't know about that. But anyways, yeah, I don't expect anything crazy to happen at those. But I will say for the concerts that I've been to after the pandemic, I've only noticed these issues in one concert, and that was the Flow concert that I went to in April. They were great. They were amazing, but because it was general admission, everyone, was on the floor more or less. So you can't really see if someone is standing in front of you with their phone up the whole show. And also because it was a smaller venue, they don't have the PA systems that those arenas and everything have. And as soon as they started harmonizing, as soon as Stella hit a high note, everybody is screaming. And I'm like, so y'all are screaming so that we can't hear the people that we paid to see? Like, what are they singing for at this point? And yeah, I know it's exciting. I was excited too. And like I said, I feel like some of these issues that people bring up, it has to do with the venue because, I don't really care if people are standing in front of me recording if I'm in an arena and the seats are tiered so their hands really aren't in front of my face. So sometimes it is a case-by-case basis. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I do think a lot of this is just exacerbated by the sheer amount of artists who are on tour right now. But I do think that these are important conversations to have because concerts should be fun and memorable experiences. And then on top of that, concerts are not cheap. So if you're going to shell out all this money to have a good time, you want to have a good time. And I don't want to end the video on a negative note because there are times when people do come together to do really amazing things at concerts. So I wanted to show you guys this clip that you've probably already seen, but it really warms my heart. It was at the Cologne, Germany stop of the Renaissance World Tour, I believe, and they had little blue balloons for Blue Ivy because she's been eating it up on the tour. I'm really excited for, I want her to be a child because she's a child, but I am appreciating this little soft launch of Blue Ivy, and it looks like she's having fun. So y'all enjoy the clip. Let me know your thoughts below and all of that good stuff. I I had this video done and recorded, and lo and behold, I wake up to Twitter and see someone toss their mother's ashes on stage while Pink is performing. It's like every time I thought I had the video done, something else happened. Like, you can't make this stuff up. So I'll try to put a clip in. If there's no clip, I guess it was copyrighted. But yes, a fan threw their ashes on stage during Pink's concert. She was obviously shocked. I believe she told the fan that that was a step too far. And as far as I know, believe it or not, this is something that happens, because I know years ago it was sort of like a meme within the fandom that someone had Charlie XCX sign an urn or sign their mom's ashes or something of that nature. And, you know, while your parent might have loved an artist, or while you love an artist, stop putting these artists in these weird, uncomfortable situations. Just have some boundaries. Have some boundaries. As always, thank you so very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can stick around for more. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter so that you can keep up with me there. And if you want to become a channel member, the link is in the video description. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Love you so very much, and I will see you so very soon. Bye-bye.